All right, everybody, welcome back. We got more receivers to take a look at. We're still looking at first round guys, though, still looking at guys that are likely going to go in the first 32 picks. And we've got two more guys we're going to look at in this video. Both of them are in the conversation for number two. So understand that two, three, and four are all kind of grouped together very tightly. So we're going to start with the guy who really is making a push up after the combine. And this is the guy who I think has a really good chance of being the second receiver off the board at this point by the time we get there. Matt Golden of Texas. 22 years old. He's pretty small. He does have good sized hands. That's good, right? You'd rather try to catch the ball with big hands than small hands, but otherwise he's a smaller player. Sub 6 feet, 190 pounds. Ran a blazing fast 40, 1.429, one of the fastest 40s ever by a receiver. 1.49 10-yard split, which is among the better splits you'll ever see, 93rd percentile. Every big board has him in the first round, except for CBS, which has him 2 picks out of the first round, and Walter Football, who I think hasn't updated their big board in a while, so they haven't captured the effect of the combine. I'm sure Golden would be on their big board and probably pretty darn high if they did it now. The aggregate has him 27th overall, so back end of the first. He really only has 1 year of big production, and it wasn't even that big. So this one's a little bit weird, right? You compare his production to McMillan, and it's night and day. But Matt Golden did have almost 1,000 yards last year, and he averaged 17 yards a catch. So that does give you an idea of the kind of player that he is. It does have to be noted that he's on a Texas Longhorn team where he's competing with other players that are good for the ball, and he's on a team that frequently has a significant lead by the third quarter and is putting in backups. So context matters. Nevertheless, you have to dig in a little bit deeper to figure out what makes Golden good. The combine kind of speaks for itself. His straight line speed and acceleration is off the charts. He will be one of the fastest players in the NFL once he gets to the NFL. And he does have very good ball skills. You put the ball in the air around him, he's going to find a way to be around it when it comes down, and he's going to find a way to make a play on it when he can. His route running isn't great, but he does have some tricks up his sleeve where he can kind of get a defender to go to sleep by going through his route at like 75%, and then suddenly he goes to 100% and leaves the defender in the dust, and the defender's just not ready for it because he thought he had everything under control. He can college, excuse me, in college at Texas, he was able to play short, intermediate, and deep and make impact. And he was also able to line up as the X, the Y, and the Z and be productive. So at least at that level, he was able to kind of do it all. He was a do-it-all receiver, even though he's a smaller guy. His hands made a big improvement in 2024. He didn't drop nearly as many passes. Seems like his hands are getting better. He should be a good return man in the NFL, if nothing else. Like, his return value is legitimate. His quick twitch skills to get open fast stand out. He's somebody who can just build separation in the blink of an eye. So those are the positives with Golden. Now the issues, I think there are some pretty significant ones there too. He has 1 year of significant production, and it wasn't even that great. There are caveats, but still. He is undersized. You can't really get away from that. He is a smaller player. I do think his routes are a little lazy. He doesn't cut them off as cleanly as he should. Sometimes his routes linger a little bit. And I think that while there are some things I like about his route running, on the whole, he has work to do. His play strength is lacking. He can get bullied and out-physicaled by defensive backs, which is kind of what you would expect from a player like this, I guess, but it doesn't make it any less of a flaw. His hands are better, but they're not great. He does still drop the ball occasionally, and it's really frustrating when he drops the ball because he's liable to make a big play with some of those drops. I'm a little bit concerned about what he's going to be able to do at the NFL level trying to play outside. He is small, he has short arms. Usually players like that do not have success on the outside. Now, I'm not saying he can't. This is not a Luther Burden situation. Luther Burden, I think, doesn't really have much of a chance at all. Golden has a chance, but he is behind the 8 ball in some key ways. He doesn't have a big catch radius. His arms are really short, so a poorly thrown ball is probably not going to end up in his hands. Now, that might sound like something that's not that big of a deal, but there are receivers out there with a monster catch radius. He's just not one of them. He's small and he's got short arms. So you have to understand what you're getting here. I love his speed. His speed absolutely kills. I like this a little more than I do Burden, but I just wish I had a little more confidence that his game was going to completely translate the way that it's translated for like Tyreek Hill, right? Tyreek Hill can fly. You put Tyreek Hill outside, he's so dynamic. The fact that he's a little bit of a smaller guy doesn't mean that he can't get a release. Hopefully Golden's like that. I think that he will be, but I'm not super confident in it. So I do think he's a first rounder. I don't know if I would take him at 18. I couldn't quite get there, guys. I could not quite get there. I was close, though. Close enough to where if it happens, I'd be down with it. Second guy, this is the last first round prospect as of right now for receiver, Emeka Egbuka. Emeka Egbuka, we get a lot of comments around here about Egbuka. Ohio State Buckeye, he's 22 years old. Pretty decent size for what he is. 6'1", 202 pounds, both about average. Arms are a little below average, but his hands are nice and big. So we got some stuff working in our favor here. Big boards, they all have him in the first, except ESPN has him in the mid-second. And I think that, I don't know what's going on there, but the general consensus is this guy's a late first-round pick. Coming off his best year yet, 1,000 yards for the Ohio State offense. And remember, he's competing for yards with guys like Jeremiah Smith. He's competing with really good running backs that they have over there. You're not going to catch 150 balls in the Ohio State offense right now. There's too much talent going around. 10 touchdowns, big improvements over the previous year. So he is another very good Ohio State wide receiver. He runs really great routes. He's a great route runner. He's a route running technician. He understands... Oh, this is a typo. Let me fix that real quick. He understands zone coverage. He knows how to attack zone coverage. He knows how to kind of utilize his momentum and utilize the eyes of the defender to get defenders where he wants them to be. He knows how to kind of run a defender off and then find the hole in the zone that he's created. So he's really good at that cerebral element of playing receiver. Got good body control as well. He can go make a play on a ball that's falling out of bounds while keeping his feet down in bounds. He is able to put himself in situations to bring a pass in that other players would just kind of flail at. He's got great ball skills as well. He will attack any ball that's in the air around him. He's really good at helping out his quarterback, which is something that a lot of receivers don't get. He's one of those guys that if he turns around and he sees his quarterback running for his life, he will try to get into scramble drill. He will try to present a target to his quarterback. He will try to find a way to uncover off script. So quarterbacks are going to really like this guy for all the work he does trying to help them. He is, for a slot receiver, and that is one thing we're going to get into here, pretty decently well built, like I said. And honestly, for a guy who is mostly a slot receiver, he plays with good physicality, I think. He is able to win at the catch point. He is able to muscle through contact and make catches. So he's not just like a delicate slot receiver like some guys. Now, I do want to emphasize that. This is a guy who is clearly meant to play in the slot. I don't think he's going to have much of a shot at playing outside in the NFL. I don't think there's enough going on here. He's JSN. Honestly, I know it's a lazy comp, but it's a good comp. Emeka Egbuka has a lot in common with JSN. Right down to the fact that he probably shouldn't be playing very much outside. He doesn't have top-end speed. You're not going to be speeding past a lot of pro defensive backs with just raw speed. His quick twitch movement is pretty mediocre, so his ability to just shake free suddenly with just raw, like quick twitch talent is not really there. He's going to have to get by on route running savvy and setting things up with the more mental elements of the position. He's not a big yak threat. He gets the ball in his hands, and he doesn't get much more than what's there. And while I like his physicality, I do think he puts effort into it. He's just not really big enough to be a contested catcher. So the spirit's willing, but the flesh is weak, or something like that. I don't know if it's going to get better. You wouldn't think. It's the NFL now. So he's very similar to JSN. I think that he's going to make some NFL team very happy, a team that runs a lot of 11 personnel, a team that needs a big-time slot receiver. But I think that he's in the same spot as JSN, more or less. I think JSN was probably a little bit better because he was, I believe, a little bit more of a specimen. He's got, I think, slightly longer arms, if I remember correctly. And I do think that he was a little bit better at things like quick twitch movement. But it's so darn similar that I kind of feel the same way about him that I did him, if that makes sense. So, fringe back-end first-round prospect. The right team can spend a first-round pick on him and get first-round value out of him. But I certainly wouldn't take him at 18, especially because we don't need another player who plays like JSN. We already have JSN. And even if I needed a slot receiver, I don't know, this would be a little bit, I'd feel like I want to do a little bit better, personally. I don't know. All right, that's Emeka Egbuka. Those are your last two first-round receivers. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys soon. Go Hawks. More receivers coming soon. Stay tuned.